Hey, this is saxophonist Lebron, and you're watching Elements of Jazz TV.
Elements of Jazz, your visual jazz experience.
Being a new artist, you kind of have to present yourself to the world the best way possible. So I figured this was a good way to show who I am as a person, as an artist, the shades of me as LeBron. So the name of the song is Shades.
Well, I was born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona. My dad really exposed me to a lot of very great saxophone players at a young age, including Grover Washington Jr., and Gerald Albright, Kirk Whalum, Everett Harp. And so since there was really nowhere to go and hear players at that time in Phoenix really, I would just listen to their CDs, and that was all the inspiration that I needed.
My name is Willie Dennis. I'm Lebron Dennis's dad. Well, I thought he did an excellent job. I was really impressed with his ability to really express his musical voice, what was in his heart, his passion for what he does. That's really what music is all about.
I have to give a shout out to my dad here. He's sitting up here in front. Then when I decided I wanted to do a project, I just knew that he would be willing to support me and help me like he's always done my whole life. So thank you, Dad. I appreciate that.
Well, I started in music very young. My parents were just like every other set of parents out there. They try to expose their children to a musical instrument. So, they exposed me to the piano. I took piano lessons when I was about 4 or 5 years old. And that transitioned into the guitar. I took guitar lessons for a few years. But I never really practiced them, I never fell in love with those instruments until I was about 12 years old. And I went to an Earl Klugh concert with my mom. And Michael Palo was playing saxophone at the time. And I knew from that day forward that I wanted to play the saxophone. So I was 12 years old. The next day, I went home and I got a saxophone from my dad. And he said if I wanted to play it, then I could just go teach myself to play it. And that's exactly what I did.
His mom and I put him in guitar lessons, piano lessons, and he never really did anything with them. And he came to me one day, because knowing that I played saxophone, he says, Dad, well, what if I learn how to play saxophone? And of course, by then, I had spent so much time and money on him. I says, well, I tell you, if you want to learn how to play saxophone, this is what you got to do. Here's my old sax, here's a book, and you go at it. So he took that, went in his room, and for several weeks started playing and practicing on his own.
And, this is the first song we recorded for the record, so it's called A Merry-Go-Round. I hope you enjoy it.
comes to performing and speaking with an audience, I try to sound more like a vocalist than I do a saxophone player, so to speak. So I try to use my saxophone as a voice, and I try to sing a song to the audience. And so that comes across in my style of play, you know, as opposed to trying to play really technical scales and things like that that people can't really relate to. I just try to sing to them through my instrument. So I think that's the best way to describe my style.
I used to play saxophone when I was in high school and college. In fact, I played with a band back in the day, back in the 70s and the 80s. And so I played a lot of the old R&B sounds, you know, James Brown, Mazio, Earth, Wind and Fire, you know, when the horns were really strong back then. I said I really am able to live kind of vicariously through LeBron. And it's kind of nice to see him develop into the artist that he is, because he's at a level that I really never got to.
You can go to my website, www.lebronmusic.com. You can also go on the Trippin' in Rhythm website, since I'm an artist with Trippin' in Rhythm Records. All the music's posted on there. And go on iTunes, Amazon, you can get the CD, download it on iTunes, and just check all your local retailers. It should be in there too.
Yeah, that was Turn It Up.
I just took a leap of faith and decided to give it a shot. So, you know, I was able to contact a really great producer by the name of Darren Ron, and him and I just hit it off immediately. We clicked, and when we started writing the music together, we were on the same page, we were both feeling it, and then it just kind of took off from there. So I never would have imagined that it would come to where it's come, but I'm extremely happy and grateful for it. So it's been exciting.
Again, he had the privilege of working with Darren Ron, who's an excellent producer, and they started putting this thing together. It was just nice to sit back and listen to them kind of interact. The songs on the CD, it just kind of takes you on a journey. When the project was completed, you know, I said, man, this is nice. You know, there's not a bad song on the CD. In fact, they could have released any one of those songs. It really is an expression of who he is as an artist, hence the name Shades, as he said. So I think it's a great project.
Because this is my first radio single. So the name of the song is Groove City. It features Paul Brown on guitar. And I gotta say, it was a really weird feeling when driving down the street and hearing this on the radio, hearing yourself on the radio for the first time. It's very surreal. You might have heard it before on Watercolors. They play here locally, KSBR. Thank you, Vienna. And the name of the song is Groove City. Hope you enjoy it. guitar over there.
I mean, it's more than what I could ever ask for as a debut artist. My first time ever being on the radio, and that song took all the way to #3 on Billboard. #2 on Alan Kepler's Top 20 Smooth Jazz. So it's been overwhelmingly just humbling for me. It's a surreal experience. When Darren, Rod, and I decided to start writing the songs, we knew we just wanted to do like just a real, just like catchy groove. I mean, really, that's really the only way to explain it. We wanted to do a catchy groove that people could tap their foot to and that they'd find themselves singing for the rest of the week. And that's what we were able to come up with. And I figured it was a good opportunity for me to work with another veteran artist. Paul Brown is featured as the guitar player on that. It was very, very cool to be able to play that tune with him, but he just added something extra to it, and then it just kind of evolved, and we put it out there, and this is what it's done. So it's been on the radio now for a while, and I'm excited about that.
We want to thank you guys again for coming out and supporting us tonight. We had a blast up here performing, playing some songs for you. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Tell your friends, tell the management to have me back.
So I'll start the year by going to the Dubai Jazz Festival, the Dubai International Jazz Festival. I will be there in February. And then I come home, and then I actually start touring with 3 other members of the Trippin' Rhythm label. We're going to be doing what's called the Generation Next Tour, and it features myself, bass player Julian Bond, piano player Nicholas Cole, and trumpet player Lynn Roundtree. So we will be at Seabreeze Jazz Festival, we'll be at Berks Jazz Fest, those are already booked, and hopefully many more after that. So yeah, next year it's looking good. It's going to be a busy year, and I'm just really looking forward to what it has in store. My fans, I would just say, first of all, thank you so much for all the support that you've shown me up until this point. You know, for me being a newer debut artist, it can be intimidating, but you've all been very accepting of me and very supportive, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. And I would just tell you to keep on enjoying the music, keep on supporting live music and this genre that we all love so much. And you know, no matter what, you know, whether the exposure that we get on the radio or not, the smooth jazz fans are always the most supportive and the most loyal. So we thank you for that. Keep it up, and we look forward to seeing you guys out on the road at the festivals.